about what I think is the most important meme coming out of I've seen in my life. And this is the NPC meme. So let me break it down for everyone, and then I'm going to show you this segment we call the spin. Okay, so for those of you who have played Dungeons & Dragons or role-playing games on the computer, you know what an NPC is. Let me break it down for those of you who have ever had sex. When you're playing, let's suppose, Dungeons & Dragons, or a computer game, Ultima, or Final Fantasy, you have your party, right? You have your warrior, you have your priest, you have your magic user, you have your thief, let's say, 4 of them. You, as the player at home, are telling each of those 4 what to do. Right? You're in control of them. So those are called player characters, PCs. In these games, you go to different towns, and each town there's going to be an inn, there's going to be a store where you can buy and sell weapons, there's going to be a store where you can buy and sell armor, a store where you can buy and sell supplies or spells, right? Easy to understand. If you go into that store that sells armor, the guy who's selling and buying armor is there all the time. Some of these games have gotten more sophisticated. At nighttime, it changes. You have to come at certain times for certain effects to happen. Fine. Effectively, that guy running that store does not exist other than running that store. He is a menu. All his job is to buy armor and sell you armor. And of course, different towns are going to have different types of armor as you level up. This character is called an NPC, a non-player character, because he doesn't really do anything. You can't select to play as him, and he doesn't really have an existence. His only options are what he's programmed to do, which is basically all I know how to do is and sell armor and buy armor, and I have a very limited option in terms of how I express myself. There's going to be a menu. You choose. It'll be like buy, sell. Sometimes they have gossip, and he'll tell you, some information or help, but that's it. There's no expectation this character is going to go any further. What they've done, and start showing some of these pics, please. Whoever thought of this is brilliant, has taken, you're going to have to blow that up a little bit, has taken this meme and used it to describe the masses. When you're talking to someone who is part of the evangelical left, or even some of these conservative boomers, they're going to not only say the same ideas over and over, they're going to say them in the same way. So not only are you not dealing with any kind of independent thought, you're not dealing with any kind of independent expression. When I first started doing television, what I told myself was, I know no one cares about what I have to say, nor should they. So every time I spoke, I said to myself, and this is a tip for all of you, especially for job interviews too, I'm either going to say something original, or I'm going to say something unoriginal in an original way. And many times, many such cases, I've been on panels and people are just spouting talking points. And I sat there, bright people, very bright people, accomplished people. And I'm confused because I'm like, I get that you have to say the talking points. Why don't you sit down and be like, okay, I want to put this point across. How do I put it in a way that's clever or pithy or catchy? And that would be viral or people can catch on to it. It's not that hard. Give it literally 5 minutes. You're given the topics you're going to discuss. If you don't know how to do it, call a friend who's a comedian or call someone like me and figure out, hey, I want to say this. How would you word it as succinctly and cleverly as possible? It takes less time to do that than to get dressed, quite literally. You're in hair and makeup. You're sitting there when they, putting on your whore paint. Text somebody, but they don't do it. It's amazing to me. So this kind of speaks to how most people operate. And there's so many times on Twitter, and it's even helpful now because they'll be like at John Roberts 74732. They just even have numbers as their name. They're complete ciphers. And this is a very pithy or let's pause on this picture. I want to talk about it. It just shows that people have very socially conventional ways of expressing themselves, and this is not unique to the left at all. I really want to make that clear. And here we have greetings at Sarah the Destroyer, Sarah Sanders. This is a reporter. Orange man exceeds maximum scoop. Remember there was that story from CNN where he had 2 scoops of ice cream. And the 3 choices they have, orange man bad, Russia, peach 45. And those are the loops. They're just variations on those themes. And you can see all those, they're all the same entity being programmed. Now, as a result of this, a lot of people changed their user pick on Twitter to that NPC symbol, that picture, and Twitter went and did a mass banning of them. Even some established accounts who did it as a joke. And of course, this is causing meltdowns because it's so effective. So here's what Kotaku had to say. The headline was, how the NPC meme tries to dehumanize social justice warriors. It is not about social justice warriors. I wouldn't call any of those reporters in the White House press room social justice warriors. They're not. They might be progressive. They might be faux activists. They're not SJWs. I think that's a very different phenomenon. And here's how the article goes. From time to time, and especially if you're a fan of science fiction, you may have had the thought that nobody around you is actually real. That sentiment has taken root in anti-progressive parts of the internet as a dehumanizing meme, and it borrows some familiar gaming terminology. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. Can you pull up the album cover for Pat Benatar, Wide Awake in Dreamland? And put that up? I don't understand how anyone, but I shouldn't phrase it that way. It is very easy for most people to look around and realize that most of the beings around them are not critical thinkers. This is not a hard claim to make. They watch the same shows, they listen to the same music, they eat the same food. Brave New World is their goal. This is an Aldous Huxley idea that people are basically, as H.L. Mencken said, the average man does not want to be free, he wants to be safe. And this is, look, this is the NPC concept. Pat Benatar had it. This is the same exact concept, that everyone around you is asleep and she's wide awake in dreamland. Pat Benatar is hardly some kind of reactionary right-wing nut. But this is a very common motif throughout cultures. This is not particularly new. And it's not and the narcissism that this is specifically against the left is hilarious. So here we go. About a month ago, a meme along these lines took root on 4chan and among anti-progressive online communities. I have to commend this reporter for using the term anti-progressive instead of racist, because that's very accurate and fair. So kudos to her. It's called the NPC meme, and it goes like this. Out there in the world, there are literally NPCs who have no internality whatsoever. There are some giveaways, of course. They spit out canned lines. Good weather day, huh? And flock to normie trends. Are Ugg boots still a thing? By the way, this idea of having, I love it how the idea that having contempt for normie trends is somehow a function of 4chan and not Kotaku and people who read The New Yorker. I mean, like, the amount of contempt New Yorker readers have for normies cannot be overstated. And as the report goes, for the most part, they share the same uncritical worldview. It's not that they say, no, she doesn't get it. It's not that they share the same uncritical worldview. It's that they all share having a uncritical worldview. You can easily be a right-of-center NPC. For example, I was tweeting about the corporate press yesterday, and someone replied, well, the problem is not the corporate, the problem is that 99.99% of them are Democrats. That's NPC thinking. The classic melancholy meme, Wojak, a sad man crudely drawn in Microsoft Paint, has now received the NPC treatment with NPC Wojak. Now, what they're calling this is part crackpot social theory. Is this really crackpot social theory? The idea of the individual versus the mass man? This is very basic mass psychology, social psychology to everyone. This is not, and part elementary school insult. Elementary school would not call someone an NPC. They don't use acronyms in elementary school. The meme originates from a deeply watch how the reporter has to be dismissive and derisive at the same time without engaging with concepts that many philosophers have struggled with on a very profound level. It originates from a deeply comical medley of bogus physics and stupid religion found on the message board 4chan. Originally posted in 2016, it resurfaced last month. Here's the post, what the 4chan poster said. I have a theory that there are only a fixed quantity of souls on planet Earth that cycle continuously through reincarnation. However, since the human growth rate is so severe, the soulless walking flesh piles around us are NPC, or ultimate normal fags who autonomously follow groupthink and social trends in order to appear convincingly human. NPCs aren't even worthy of a classy wake-up sheeple. They can't. But you don't have to believe this whole souls thing to understand this concept. Anyone who's been at their family dinner for Thanksgiving and hear people just spouting the talking points from Rachel Maddow or from Limbaugh understands what this is referring to. It's nothing to do with souls. So yeah, even though this is a kind of little like, dude, what if there's like 20 souls on Earth and they can only get reincarnated? That's not basic to this at all, even if that might be the origin. And here's what the reporter says. Here's where things get interesting. Around the time a lot of us were assigned to read The Catcher in the Rye Middle School, it was normal to have edgelord thoughts about phonies or being one of the few with who is capital A awake. This is not about phonies. A phony, in the Catcher in the Rye sense, is someone who acts a certain way publicly, and at home they're disingenuous. This is saying NPCs are very authentic. Very, very, very authentic. There's just no one there. That guy who's selling armor in that town isn't being disingenuous. That's all he knows how to do. And as the reporter goes on to say, the NPC meme takes things a step further into a political zone where mass outcry against, say, serial harassers, racial injustice, or Trumpian ideas is dismissed as not just inherently uncritical, but prima facie evidence of a lack of human consciousness. No. It's mass outcry in general. Any mass outcry is a function of NPC thinking. That's the point. NPCs say the same shit, including sports ball and just be yourself. And the poster also cites a political example like Trump is Hitler, adding, if you get in discussion with them, it's always the same buzzwords and hackneyed arguments. They're the kind of people who make a show of discomfort when you break the status quo, like breaking the normie barrier to invoke a real discussion. It's like in a video game where you accidentally talk to the same character twice and they give you the exact same lines word for word once more. Let me give you an example of this. We're going to get to the rest of the article maybe another time, but probably not. My college, Bucknell, I've told this story before. I was full of NPCs. Wealthy people, bright people, soulless. And it was hard for me to articulate what it was so terrible about it until I was hanging out with a buddy of mine and his roommate. And his roommate was a typical Bucknell type, even though he was not a Bucknell graduate. And I said, I tell this story all the time because I think this is really something that I think is very crucial to how I view the world. I said to him, let's play Would You Rather. And he says, okay. I said, would you rather, and the point of Would You Rather is, those of you who don't know, you have to give the person two choices, and they're both going to be horrible. And the point is hard because you have to make them roughly equal. Because if it's like, would you rather be shot in the face or have a paper cut, this is not a choice. Would you rather be in the middle of a human centipede for a month or be morbidly obese for the rest of your life, like 200 pounds overweight? And he looks at me and he goes, neither. What kind of game is this? Give me some good choices. And I was like, holy shit. This person is not capable of critical thought, because I've never heard of this game, therefore it's stupid. The game wasn't called Wouldn't It Be Great? And it's the same kind of person who in the 80s would have said, what are you, eating raw fish? And now they're a foodie and will tell the difference between unagi and anago, which is saltwater eel, because they read the article in Time Out or something like that. That is how NPCs think. They have to be given permission to understand things that are different from their learned experience. And even then, they're not interested in learning things for themselves. It's entirely external thought that they are aping. And once you identify it, it is terrifying. So, with that nightmare in mind, I wish you sweet dreams.
We got some big girls. I hope they don't